But CFO Zach Kirkhorn has stepped down, and this is actually a big surprise.
Well, we loved Zach and love Zach and think he will do very well wherever he goes.
Working at Tesla is an intense experience by all reports, and so I'm sure there was some element of burnout that the departing CFO had here, having been there for 13 years.
I'm not that bothered by it. I think that the timing is a little bit different, but again, nothing about Tesla is normal. So
all that and more, so let's get to it. Currently, Tesla stock down about 1% today, but amidst that volatility, Tesla is trading sideways, moving very little day to day. But as we look at the weekly trend, it has been down, just about 7% in fact. In the past year, Tesla is still down over 15.5%. But if we're looking back year to date, Tesla is still up 130% over those January lows. Where the stock goes from here is anybody's guess. But I do have a 257.50 put that expires at the end of the week. Quite frankly, I should have cashed in this put upon the news of Zach Kirkhorn's departure, but I'll be looking to get the best price within the next couple of days.
But CFO Zach Kirkhorn has stepped down, and this is actually a big surprise. He has stepped down as CFO effective August 4th. He will be replaced by Tesla's Chief Accounting Officer, Vaibhav Taneja, but he will stay on for the rest of the year to help with the transition. You know, Zach Kirkhorn has been at the heart of everything that's been good for Tesla, frankly, in the last 4 years as CFO since being named in 2019. He was a rookie then, an unknown quantity, but what he's done is basically brought regular profit to Tesla, done smart capital raises, and every investor and analyst I've spoken to has been a big fan of his in that time. So interesting news out of Tesla at the open too.
There's no doubt the stock took a hit upon hearing that Zach Kirkhorn would be leaving. Kind of unorthodox the way Tesla does business, but you sure you're done? Well, best of luck in all your endeavors. Next man up.
Tesla CFO Zachary Kirkhorn is stepping down after more than 13 years at Tesla. Curious to hear your reaction given how long you've been involved in the stock, how long he's been there. Does this give you any pause?
Well, we loved Zach and love Zach and think he will do very well wherever he goes. I know there are rumors out that there are some CEO positions out there which he might like to take. So we will miss him, but his successor has been with Tesla right underneath him since 2018. So he was put through the fires. Remember, in 2018-19, many analysts were saying that Tesla was going bankrupt. And so he's been there, he's gone through the fire, and, you know, it's a tough job. It's a tough job. So I guess 13 years was a really good run for Zach, and can't say enough good things about him and what he did for Tesla. But I think he trained his successor well.
I can't blame the guy. He's made tons of money working under Elon Musk. A break is warranted. The hardest job I've ever had was working 10 years for the U.S. Navy on submarines. Was I burnt out? Yes. But I've never worked for Elon Musk, so I don't know how arduous it is. But I imagine for a man that intense, you're not playing patty cake. 13 years under the high demand and expectations of probably the most successful businessman of our time? Thank you for your service, Zach.
Great to hear. Do you expect Tesla to build 2 million vehicles this year? I think it's incredible how they've grown production, and it looks like they can do that. What are your expectations for their growth from here on out?
Well, as you know, we have a 5-year investment time horizon, and we do think the cycle for autos is going to get tougher in here generally. But we think just like last year when electric vehicles were up 69% or 65%, something like that, and gas-powered vehicles down 7% globally, we think we're going to continue to see that share shift accelerate because electric vehicle prices are going to follow their costs down in a way that gas-powered cars cars cannot. So we think that electric vehicles will be less expensive, and they are better cars than gas-powered vehicles. So we think they're going to take tremendous share. And even if the auto market relapses in here, which we think it could, we don't think electric vehicles will relapse. So we think the 1.8 million for this year, which was, Elon said 1.8 to 2 million, they're going to have some shutdowns in the third quarter for maintenance and upgrades. And so he lowered his expectation to the lower end of that range. I think he likes to lower expectations and then beat. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's higher than that.
First things first, they will beat 1.8 million. My base case still has them at 1.9 million vehicles sold. My bull case has been lowered to about 2.25. But these shutdowns are planned. Tesla's execution is phenomenal. I had no worries. I could tell that some of the analysts on the call might have been concerned when Elon mentioned that, but this is par for the course. Tesla's going to continue to blow out sales quarter after quarter, year over year, partly because of what Cathy mentioned earlier. These products are just simply better than the internal combustion engine variant. So let's look at the scoreboard real quick. Tesla already has the compact SUV market lined up. Model Y, best-selling vehicle on the planet. Cybertruck, set to be released by the end of this year. We'll surprise the truck industry on how valuable this thing is. Pound for pound, dollar for dollar. And the last domino that will fall will be a compelling battery electric vehicle that comes in under $30,000. And by compelling, there's only one thing that I mean. A Tesla that comes in at under $30,000 before any incentives. Game, set, match. Who's next?
Bloomberg New Economy Forum has voiced concerns about the availability of, cobalt and lithium. And is there enough to continue making electric cars for the masses as some producers like GM are building, massive 200 kilowatt batteries for their trucks? Is that a concern for you at all? Do you think Tesla has the production locked in?
Well, I know very early on they said to their suppliers, if you will build it, we will buy it. So, yes, they've been in a preferred position and probably still are. They're also very smart. Tesla's engineers are very smart. They are engineering cobalt out of the cars. They're doing it for a few reasons. The supply is uncertain, and it's very focused in, the Congo, where there are a lot of environmental and governance and social concerns. So they're engineering it out, and they're moving into, and you should say, on lithium, actually, if you look at the price, it went up tenfold in 2 years, and now it's down about 40% from that peak. I think lithium is one of the most pervasive minerals out there. So we don't think lithium is an issue at all, especially now that the Chinese and the Koreans and all of the U.S. OEMs are basically telling lithium miners, just build it and we will take it. And then the other interesting thing is, again, this is Tesla leading the charge, so to speak, in this category, lithium iron phosphate. So taking out the nickel and other metals that may end up in short supply, especially if we get into very strong cycles. And the lithium iron phosphate is a much lower priced, or will lead to a much lower priced car as well.
We got a long way before we start thinking about being mineral constrained. Innovations will come that make battery electric vehicles far more compelling than their internal combustion engine variant, because ICE vehicles are at the end of the line. There is no conceivable innovation that will make ICE vehicles more compelling or cheaper. Last stop.
Tesla shares down today after the EV maker revealed in a filing that Chief Financial Officer Zachary Kirkhorn has stepped down from the company as of August 4th. Kirkhorn served as CFO for the past 4 years and has been with the company for 13 years. For more on what this means for Tesla moving forward, we want to welcome in Colin Rush, Oppenheimer Senior Analyst. Colin, thank you for being here today. At first blush, sometimes when you learn about a CFO suddenly departing, that could be bad news. Not seeing it really take a hit on Tesla stock today. What's the significance of this?
From our perspective, there's a couple of things going on here. One, working at Tesla is an intense experience by all reports, and so I'm sure there was some element of burnout that the departing CFO had here, having been there for 13 years. Also, promoting the chief accounting officer, keeps the cultural integrity intact of the financial organization, and someone that's been involved here with the company for 4 years, and so this feels like a potential natural evolution of the financial organization for a company that continues to see a certain amount of turnover just as folks work through their positions and then decide that it's time to move on after a certain period.
And Colin, I want to ask you, though, one of the questions that's come up is just what this does to succession planning for Tesla. Do you think that this causes a serious concern for the company?
I don't think so. I mean, the company has not had an issue attracting talent. It's been one of the more successful companies here in the past decade, if not the most successful from a stock appreciation perspective. And so there has not been an issue on bringing new folks into the organization and bringing very talented folks, particularly on the engineering side. Within the financial organization, it's a little less transparent in terms of who's doing what and who are the key players. But by all intents and purposes, the company's done a very admirable job of developing an efficient, lean financial organization that's really served the mission of the organization.
Tesla, SpaceX, jostling for number 1 and 2 of graduating engineers where they would like to work. Common denominator? Elon Musk. The mission to accelerate the world's transition to a sustainable energy economy, coupled with that of being a spacefaring civilization, is quite an attractive prospect for many brilliant young individuals. He ain't never lying when he says there's no shortage of talent at either of these companies.
Could just bring us up to speed from your perspective of how Tesla is monetizing its IP. That is, it has this big moat. It's been collecting data on its customers for a decade, maybe longer. Other competitors don't have that advantage, at least in terms of length of time. And then it's going about this in various ways. We have the Dojo investment. We have full service driving. How much is this paying off, and what's the timeline to really make this pay off in terms of revenues for the company?
I mean, it's an interesting question in terms of where their IP is. We really start with the basic material science on the battery level and how that understanding of material science goes through the entire powertrain into the vehicles, and then how to make vehicles, and then how you navigate those vehicles on the road. That's one whole segment of IP. On top of that, they've developed actually a quite nice stationary energy storage business where they're monetizing IP there. And now as we move deeper into the AI space, we'll see how they actually monetize this. So far, the full self-driving has been a little bit limited in terms of the ROI for them. They've invested an awful lot of money over a number of years, and they still have they have some revenue to show for it, but there's an awful long way to go for the organization. But the key areas for us have been in terms of building this user base on the vehicles with the optionality around some of these other products that they're building around the vehicles, and then moving into both the utility space and the home energy space with the stationary storage platform and a little bit of solar.
And Colin, I want to ask you, we also saw news about Elon Musk possibly having to have surgery. He, I don't even know if we call this a tweet now, tweeted this, I suppose, for lack of a better word. I don't know if there's new lingo for the X platform. Is that a concern when you think about both this news with regard to the CFO and then just potential health issues for Elon Musk? Does that register as a concern for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's principal risk for this organization with Elon, right? If he ends up having to step away or step down, I think there's certainly a lot of investors that really see him as the visionary that's pulled this whole organization together and continues to lead it. I have a hard time believing that he would step away even for illness for a very long period of time. It seems that he's been devoted to building these companies and really leading Tesla. And so as that situation evolves with his personal health, health, we'll have to reevaluate. But I have to imagine that he'll continue to be involved as much as he can. And there's also been, I think, a more robust infrastructure built out for the company in terms of senior management and a couple of layers of senior management. We certainly saw that on display at the Analyst Day in March in Texas. And so I think, they're mitigating that in a variety of ways as the organization grows, but it's hard for me to believe that Elon would step away for very long unless really forced to.
Me personally, not too terribly concerned. For whatever reason, if Elon Musk is gone tomorrow, the stock will take a huge dip. I would consider that a discount buying situation. With Elon, the company is better with goals and aspirations that just simply defy expectations. Should they stay the course with the current projects that they already have, the company is worth far more than what it's being traded at currently. Should Elon disappear tomorrow, I personally will not be selling a single share. The company is set up for decades in the future.
Has been a leader in taking the reins in price cuts. They've been first to market on a number of different models and kind of led the way, paved the way for other automakers. Is that round of price cuts, do you think, over now, or is that something that we're going to see maybe ramp up later in the year?
We've seen actually fairly strong sell-through on vehicles through the first part of the year, and part of that has been modulation on pricing. As we get into the back half of the year, and we look at where interest rates hopefully flatten out here in the short term, we'll see how vehicle sell-through continues on. For Tesla, they had been capturing a fairly substantial premium, and as they've ramped up a fair amount of volume on the production side, they've been taking share from a lot of folks, and sometimes you have to incentivize the market to adopt the products in a different way when you're taking share that aggressively. And so my sense is that we're getting close to the end of those price cuts short term. There's going to be an awful lot of activity around share gains and shifting in terms of which vehicle makers really do ultimately succeed. What we continue to see, though, from Tesla is that they've innovated on the technology and the cost side ahead of peers and continue to drive market share just by having structural cost advantages in terms of the vehicles and on the manufacturing front. And so they have the option to. I'm not sure we're going to see it here in the back half of the year, but they certainly have the option to drive share with those price cuts if needed.
And Colin, I know in your last research that you all put out in late July, one of the things that you were questioning was just Tesla's timeline for monetization of AI. What are you looking for from Tesla with regard to that now?
I mean, the first application on the AI is the full self-driving, and so they've been able to roll out a certain amount of functionality. What we really want to see is the actual use of the investments that they're making in terms of compute power into other areas, and it still seems premature to speculate on where that actually ends up. But the first one is on the full self-driving functionality, and they've done a reasonable job with that, but certainly are substantially later than they had anticipated in terms of being able to bring out fully autonomous vehicles.
It's right around the corner. Trust me, it's right around the corner.
So that's the first one that we'd look at, and then we'd be looking for an incremental monetization, from the JoJo investment down the line. But it's hard to tell just yet where it's going to come from.
The monetization of FSD and potentially Dojo is on the horizon. Tesla is trying to accomplish something that's never been achieved, and that's practically artificial general intelligence. Who would have thought? It's taking longer than expected. If it was easy, anybody would do it.
Take a look at Tesla, down again today, now down 8% in a month. And Tesla had a rather surprise shakeup in the C-suite. Tesla CFO Zach Kirkhorn is stepping down. Tesla's chief accounting officer has been appointed to replace him. Kirkhorn, not just a CFO, by some seen as a possible successor to Elon Musk himself. Now, moments ago, Musk posted this message on X, formerly known as Twitter. He thanked Kirkhorn for getting Tesla through 13 often difficult years, much appreciated, and best wishes for the next stage of his career. But should that move matter for all of you Tesla investors out there? Joining us now is a widely followed Tesla watcher, Gary Black, future fund managing partner and co-founder. Gary, big headline, stock moved a little bit today. Do you care about the CFO leaving?
Normally markets care when a CFO leaves. I think, nothing is ever normal at Tesla. and you could say this, this was not a normal, I don't know if it's a resignation or what, but the market didn't seem to care, shook it off. I'm not that bothered by it. I think, look, it's probably some sort of personal decision. And the way I bet this played out is Zach probably went to Elon a couple months ago. He's made a fortune at Tesla. Some estimates are over $100 million. And he probably said, it's time for me to move on. Elon probably said, hey, why don't you reconsider? Zach probably reconsidered and said, no, it's time for me to move on. And Elon said, bye. Because, I think the thing that rattled people, at least initially today, it was sudden. Usually with a resignation that's amicable, there's usually a 3 to 6 month, transition. Here, he's gone effective immediately. Yeah, he's going to continue to support Tesla, but, for all intents and purposes, he's left the building. So I'm not that bothered by it. I think that the timing is a little bit different. But again, nothing about Tesla is normal. So I'm not going to get too worked up about it.
Yeah, I guess the question, we'd like to probably know more. I'm guessing you would. You're an investor. I'm not. Into why. You kind of speculated, but we don't know. It's got to be one of the hardest CFO jobs probably out there, especially working for Elon Musk in this kind of an industry. But would you like to know a little more?
Sure. And look, I don't think it has anything to do with either product or pricing strategy. That's all been well telegraphed. And it is something that's a little bit perplexing, but I would bet that when it's all said and done, it's going to turn out that it was a personal decision. Again, he's made a lot of money over the last 13 years. He probably wanted to take a step back. I mean, if I'd made that much money, I don't know if I'd still want to be working 24/7 for somebody as tough as Elon Musk.
You're motherfucking right. Not a lot of people are built like that. Again, thank you for your service, Zach.
And then you throw in that, look, Tom Zhu has been, I don't want to say anointed, but he's widely viewed as somebody who would step in if Elon were to get hit by the proverbial bus. I think to run Tesla, you got to have that engineering background. And Zach has a technical background, but he's not been an engineer. He's not, viewed as a product guy. And I think you got to be a product guy to run, or girl, but mostly product guy to run Tesla. And my bet is, Zach probably was not going to make that leap.
Tom Zhu, the man that has the Shanghai plant humming, lending his expertise to Giga Texas, overseeing the production of the vital Giga Mexico factory. You'd be a fool to think that he is not invested in the prosperity of this great company we call Tesla. But Elon ain't going nowhere for a long time. As long as he is able, he will be techno king of Tesla. In conclusion, the market and financial analysts react to the departure of Zach Kirkhorn. Zach did an amazing job, but it's time for next man up. Well, that's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.